Hello there! Have you ever wanted to know all the things you missed and the secret hidden clues that are crammed within Stranger Things? Well, you have come to the right place, ladies and gentlemen, because I am a super fan of Stranger Things. I'm completely obsessed with the show, and I've put a lot of love and care into making these videos just for you. It's a 4-part series, and it's all the Easter eggs that you missed inside the entire Stranger Things saga. So stay tuned for the very first episode of Nobody wants to be a dingus, okay? Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so you can get all the Stranger eggs that you need. We'll be totally bitching. Now, so much I can talk about in Stranger Things, but we're going to get to that in later episodes. But we're going to start right off in Season 1, Episode 1, with the disappearance of Will Byer, where Will is riding his bike down the road and sees a shadowy figure in the street. That is in fact Vecna. It is the first time we see Vecna. Now, when we first watched the show, we had no idea what this creature was. And it was in fact Vecna, which is a mind-blowing fact. On episode 1, we get introduced to the main villain, even though we have no idea who he really is, which is absolutely crazy. The next one is a really cool and interesting fact that I didn't even pick up on. There's so many things that I didn't pick up on in the Stranger Things saga. The Hawkins Lab logo actually has a hidden 11 inside of the logo. Now remember guys, this is old school 80s, okay? There's no internet, there's no cell phones, there's none of that jazz, all right? So when we're looking at this scene when Joyce is putting up the Christmas lights to communicate with Will, before she paints the letters on the wall, the lights actually spell out run in Morse code before she puts the lights up, and it spells run with Will pointing it out, which is such a cool little nod. It's just, there's such clever little subtle hints within the entire saga. It's absolutely awesome. Another cool fact is when the song, because the theme for season 1 was Should I Stay or Should I Go from The Clash, which again, epic track, and there are many epic classic face-melting riffs within the Stranger Things saga, but the static on Joyce's radio actually plays a slowed down version of the song, which is supposed to indicate that there's a connection between the Upside Down and the real world, and you know, it kind of symbolizes that connection between them, which is just well thought out, a masterclass in creativity. Okay, I may show my age here. Okay, don't flame my comment section, because I was born in this era and I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and I actually remember the adverts of it saying that it was a satanic board game, okay? I remember those times. Now, Dungeons & Dragons plays a huge role in Stranger Things, and when Hopper studies the Hawkins layout in the police department, it actually mirrors the Dungeons & Dragons grid board that they play Dungeons & Dragons on, which is a really cool fact, because in reality, what they do in Dungeons & Dragons seems to have a really big effect on the reality of Hawkins. So a very subtle but very powerful fact. Now again, there are some fan theories that are wild and out there, and there are some fan theories that are on point. And there is one fan theory about Will's earlier drawing of the Mind Flayer that has tendrils going towards his house that indicate that Will is going to have some kind of connection to the Upside Down. So I don't know if you guys believe all of the theories. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on some of them. I would really love to hear them. Holy heck guys, I promise, you know, when you're so enthralled in the show and you're just like, Steve, Dustin, let's go, and you're just so crazy about it, and you forget that there's all these like hidden facts within the show that you kind of miss out on. And one of them is, in the beginning, Hawkins, there's this sensory deprivation tank, and on a chalkboard in the back, there's chalkboard writing that says Subject Experiment 001, which is obviously saying, hey, there's more than one experiment, and one of them is Vecna, although we don't really know that at the time, but these are the kind of things that you think of. Now, again, one of the cool nods in this episode, which is episode 7, the bathtub, obviously, the scene when they're in the gym and Elle is in the pool that they've made, that's a nod to the very first Poltergeist movie where Carol Ann is putting her hands on the TV static and is communicating with a ghost. And it's such a cool reference from the Duffer Brothers to put into the show because it's so closely tied to how Stranger Things works. It's such a cool homage, man. One of the many that we're gonna look at through this entire series of Stranger Eggs. Also, don't forget to subscribe, guys, please. It'd be really awesome if you want to find out more Stranger Eggs. It's going to be happening in a 4-part series before Stranger Things 5 launches, so I'd appreciate that. Love and peace. Some of these people are crazy. I don't know how some peeps find these kinds of things. I mean, I had to dig far and wide to find some of these Easter eggs, and if they were true or not. That was the big one, is if to actually find out, these were factual or not. But for example, when Hopper's in the last episode here, we're talking about episode 8, the Upside Down. Hopper is going to the final corridor of Hawkins' lab, and the corridor actually forms an X, and that is the place where the first portal opens up. Now, I don't know how the hell people find some of this stuff, okay? But it's there. Something also that is very interesting is Will, at the end of the Upside Down, Will coughs up a slug. You remember the scene. He coughs up a slug and it falls into the sink. That slug is actually the first test footage of what Vecna's tendrils would actually look like. Now, I think that ends up becoming a Demogorgon. I'm not sure if it's the same one. That hasn't been confirmed, but there are some fan theories we're gonna get to later on in the Stranger Eggs. You like that? The Stranger Eggs kind of series that I'm doing here. Stranger Things, if you haven't realized, there are so many nostalgic references to 80s horror. We are talking Aliens, we're talking The Thing, Star Wars, Freddy Krueger, The Evil Dead. So many homages and nods to old school horror. And Nancy's scene when she's in the basement with her shotgun, almost an exact recreation from The Evil Dead, which I love. The Evil Dead is such a cool series show, and Bruce Campbell is a legend, by the way. Jonathan has a very specific camera, okay, and that camera was the same camera that was used in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, which has a very, very similar connotation to Stranger Things. Now, there's nothing in Nightmare on Elm Street about Stranger Things, but there's definitely references of Nightmare on Elm Street in Stranger Things. So, it's a story about where monsters shape and get into your dreams and shape reality. Which is, come on, guys. It's so exciting, guys. I love plots within plots within plots. It's crazy. It's not about monsters and nostalgia, although it is, but it's also about decoding the show, right? There's so many things that you have to think about, and there's so many questions you ask yourself, and there's so many really awesome morals and values put into the show, which we're going to talk about later. But let me know what your favorite theory is and what some of your own personal theories are in the comments below. But that's it for this first episode of Stranger Eggs. We're going to be doing seasons 2, 3, and 4 before Stranger Things 5. Are you excited? I'm pumped. I will see you on the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe. Love you, bye.